All right, so if you're struggling with inventory management in the First Descendant, well, I have some good news for you today because the dev team has opened up about their initial plans on what they're going to be doing about that one. Plus, we have got to talk about some weird, strange things happening around DPS and what Nexon can do to solve this problem. And also a very important PSA about Caliber. More importantly, how you're actually purchasing Caliber to avoid issues in the future. And we got to talk about the ongoing bunny controversy. Now, is it simply a symptom of a much more basic problem? That's the big question. And we're going to also highlight another descendant who is kind of not used a lot in the field, more so for Colossus battles. But we're going to talk about how good your descendant can actually become to essentially compare to Bunny's power. It's really, really cool. We'll dive into that as well. And I'm going over your top comments at the end of the video with my AI companion.
Hi, welcome. I am AI Companion.
But you know what? I say we start out with a very important question, which is this one right here. Who would you take on a tropical island getaway, Valby or Bunny? But someone noted, hey, wrong character, Nexon. Wrong character. If we scroll down here, I think this is the answer. It says, the answer is Viessa. She can keep you and your drinks cool. Love it. I think that is 100%, no doubt, the best question. But this was also a discussion that I'm noticing becoming more commonplace here. It says inventory management and sorting through the mailbox and reactors are awful. As titled, sorting through inventory, particularly reactors, which drops like candies, is a huge chore, and I have been very selective. Any blue affixes, damage to one enemy type, elemental boost, auto, go to junk without looking. Also, the mailbox filled up like every 5 minutes, mostly junk. So it would be nice to have a filter that only the checklist, so only item meeting the list goes into the mailbox. Yeah, and you know, previously I did note that this potentially could get worse and worse as we head into Season 1, Season 2, because there's going to be even more stuff that we're going to have to worry about. But Nexon did actually leave some comments about some initial thoughts about inventory management, which leads us to their blog post here. It says, disposing of leftover items. Next is an update on items that are piling up in your consumables. There's currently no way to dispose blueprints for descendants and weapons that you've already completed. So there are cases where players are getting multiple copies of blueprints they already own during the farming process. Now they go on to say, we've been listening to the community who have told us that there needs to be a way to dispose of these unwanted items. While we could consider simply converting them into gold or Kuiper, we want you to be rewarded with more value for your time you have put into the game. To resolve this, the dev team is planning on a system to dismantle leftover items to get byproducts and a rotating shop system where you can exchange the byproducts for something of value. This will allow the items you obtain to have a greater value in the game. So that's actually noteworthy there, and I think that's like one step in the right direction, but we definitely need more filter options on top of this, you know? So I think, yeah, this is going to be like the initial band-aid, and then hopefully we get something more robust in the future. I feel like the game's only going to get better with how they're listening to people and how thriving the player base is currently. Now, we got to talk about some weird DPS oddities that are happening in the game since launch that players are definitely noticing now. So check it out right here. It goes on to say, guess which has higher DPS, a fully built 500,000 DPS Thunder Cage or a gas tank? And he goes on to show this clip right here of him waiting for the enemy to get near the gas tank. And look at his health. It just absolutely gets wiped out by half. And you can see how much damage the Thunder Cage is actually doing right there. Now, you can also say, hey, it's his build. But it seems like a lot of people are noticing that this is just some weird, strange thing about the game. Now, I will say this about those gas tanks. I think it is kind of cool to be able to funnel enemies into them. It's extremely rewarding getting them all clustered near and, you know, having a massive explosion. That is cool. So I don't want that to change, of course, but maybe this needs to be adjusted. Sound off if you guys think that does need to be changed up. All right, so yeah, we got to talk about that PSA, a very important PSA about buying Caliber on PlayStation. It says, TLDR, do not buy Caliber via the PlayStation Store from the home screen outside of the game. Log into the game and buy it via the in-game store. So yeah, basically, if you're going to be doing your Caliber purchases, it's best to do it right there in the game, which is basically how I do it anyway. I've noticed some comments saying that, hey, I have had major delays in receiving Caliber when I purchase them outside of the actual game in any way, shape, or form. So it's best not to do that. And yeah, play it safe. I would definitely not purchase Caliber outside of the actual game itself. Maybe some people actually do this. I don't know. But yeah, if you're tempted to try it, I wouldn't recommend it. All right, so we got to talk about, once again, yes, the bunny controversy. Now, is it a symptom of a much more basic problem? Let's find out what Frost King had to say here. He says, I'm not going to comment on whether Bunny, Valby, or Luna needs a nerf because it's irrelevant. What I will say is this: there's a reason Bunny and the AoE squad have become so prevalent. Quite simply, these characters offer the path of least resistance for grinding items in-game compared to their more weapons-based counterparts. The general consensus is that Bunny makes grinding easier and less boring because it takes forever to do it using a normal target-based Descendant, while others who don't use her feel that she's too OP. But I just point out that literally every character in this game can demolish enemies in mass with a little module tweaking and building just as is, or depending on the enemies, even better than Bunny. You just have to build it, which, by the way, stay tuned. I'm going to show something really cool here in just a moment with one Descendant. Now it says, so we're not debating on whether Bunny and crew need a nerf. We're essentially saying the grind system, loot drop percentages, etc. are set up too heavy, and that Bunny and crew have become the path of least resistance to do efficiently, and that the other Descendants are lacking an effective means to farm as efficiently as them. Nerfing the AoE characters isn't going to remedy the problem some of you are having, only exacerbate it. We should be looking at the weight of materials drop percentages being abysmal, and what could be tweaked on the ground floor to make the entire game more enjoyable for everyone. There's a reason you see so many of these AoE characters being deployed, and that reason is what we should be addressing, not trying to nerf characters. Yeah, and someone said, I just want the Bunny players to stay in the damn circle when the mission objective calls for it. Yeah. But yeah, you know what? Actually, I've had a lot of good luck with that, getting on teams where they actually all get into the circle, so it's been surprising. But anyway, back to this whole issue. It is interesting. Again, you know, one thing I think that they could do, and I've said it, you know, previously, is just add a lot more mobs if the game's engine would allow for it. And I think that would make the game a lot more fun. All right, so yeah, mentioning Bunny, I did want to share this with you guys. Check it out. 2 million damage Bunny high voltage build. Nice. So it says, hello everyone, my first build post here. I hope you like it. And he goes on to showcase his build. You guys can pause the screen here to see exactly what he's working with. And he did say this Bunny can kill and survive anything. It has great survivability and a flex slot, electric sync, and what you can throw on any of the immune mods for extra survivability during boss fights. It hits about 2 million in WNG hard mode and about 1 million against Colossus. I used 2 pieces of Supernova and 2 Annihilation for infinite uptime on my 3. You can switch out both the defense and health mods for similar versions, Spear and Shield, etc. But I prefer the extra survivability. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So yeah, you guys can try to outbuild this one if it's even possible, or try to match this one. But this one looks like it was quite a bit of work and pretty badass to see there. Now, mentioning badass stuff, got to talk about Eugen. Check it out right here. Proliferating Allergy Showcase. More info in the comments. And this is really cool. You could see how widespread the absolute carnage and damage is with this ability. Look at that. Absolutely wipes out everyone. So I think that, you know, as we get further into the game, and someone also noted right here, I say this, it's good to see people who are starting to figure out other builds. Wait until you build a vacuum Lepik. I clear whole maps while stationary. So yeah, you know, it's not necessarily going to be as powerful as Bunny, some people might argue, but damn, that is really, really powerful. And I think a lot of this stuff combined, once we head into those mega dungeons, will be super helpful. So I'm curious to see how things will change in the future, and your opinions will change about current builds based off of, you know, what we're going to be getting with those mega dungeons. Yeah, but also, this is a problem with Eugen, though. Check it out. So apparently Eugens cannot start any void fragments and can't kill that immunity Vulgus alone. Is this the problem that Nexon should address, or players should use the Eugen only against Colossus? Or this guy deserves a buff a little bit for passive ability, health regeneration out of combat, or a bit of DPS buff for allies or for himself? What do you guys say? And a lot of people are saying this. I think they have done a bad job with bouncing. Whoa, shots fired there. And especially support classes. Just because he's a healer, it doesn't mean his entire unmodded kit got to be so single-minded. Same with Luna, who should have at least one ability changed to deal damage without needing a mod. A lot of upvotes on that one. and agreement about that. So yeah, I did a recent video saying that there would be adjustments coming up here, balance changes and things like that. That has been pretty much confirmed by Nexon, but with each season. So that's something that we could look forward to. All right, so now it's time to go over your top comments with my AI companion.
Hi, welcome.
Here we go. All right, so the first top comment is this one right here.
Say it with me. Amorph us. Amorphous is wild. LOL. I don't know.
All right, let me try it.
Did I say that correct?
A mofo. No, wait.
Ammo for us.
Ammo for us all.
Amorphous.
Amorphous. I did it. Woo! So next up, we have this one right here.
Has anyone else run into the issue where mission monsters or even void bosses run away? Even in solo, it seems like the mobs occasionally target a random other player doing something entirely different on the map.
I have noticed that from time to time. It's not like something that happens to me all the time, but I'm sure they will address it down the road. I just don't think it's like on their priority list, but maybe it should be because it's like one of the top comments. So, all right, next up, this one right here.
Give Ajax a taunt on expulsion and void walk.
Yeah, so a lot of the characters, the tank-like characters, lack the taunt, which a lot of people want to draw aggro from like the boss or mobs so that they can allow the other characters to really, dominate. So yeah, there definitely needs to be some sort of taunt mechanic for tank characters. Totally agree. All right, next up, we have this one right here. Bloop.
I hope it's that redhead sniper we saw in the story for a brief second. She looked cool.
Could be. And it's a new Descendant that's coming out here in late August.
Ooh.
So she either has a huge rocket launcher, sniper rifle, or some people say it could be a Gatling gun, but I'm thinking it is a sniper rifle.
Ooh, yes,
should
that's
be
cool.
Cool. Oh, yes. All right, so here we go. Next one is this one right here.
The most requested thing they could do is remove the damn mounted requirement on ultimate reactors for the love of God and adjust bonus stats to match the element of said reactor, while a chill boost is in a fire reactor makes 0 sense.
I know, I totally agree. I've noticed that, and I think they're going to have to rework a lot of the reactors down the road. If they do reworks, it would be dedicated to the seasons. So I don't think they would do it just out of the blue. It would be reworking them for whatever
It
like
would be
seasonal.
purposeful.
Yeah, purposeful.
Okay.
Exactly. That's a good word for it. All right. One more. Here we go.
I hope one of the biggest problems in this game will be address eventually, which is the XP gain rate for both your Descendant and your weapons. Progression is simply too slow, and players are even using exploits to bypass this issue. Perhaps every time you apply Catalyst to either a weapon or Descendant, increase the amount of EXP you earn, making the grind more bearable.
Yeah, and I think that with this one, I've seen so many divisive opinions that some people are like, hey, you know what? It's fine how it is. I like the grind. And then other players are like, I'm doing redundant content over and over. And I think it's the redundancy of it. And they need to spread out XP throughout more of the content to have a wider variety of, ways to get really good XP into farm instead of just like one or two ways that people just have to do over and over and over again.
Variety is the spice of life.
It is, absolutely. All right, so there it is, the latest happenings around the First Descendant. I was about to say the last Descendant. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more, and I will see you all next time.
AI Companion signing off.